All right, Jabosai, good morning. Let's begin. Today's daf is Yud Beis. We are picking up Yud Aleph Amud Beis. We left off V'hu Maika Amar, which is 2, 4, 6, 8 lines up from the bottom. So if you remember again, we're focusing our attention here on the first opening phrase in the Mishnah. Amulu achalta chaylev. The Mishnah said, they plural said to him, you ate chaylev. So the Mishnah says, maybe chatos. So the individual brings a chatos. So remember again, we're trying to figure out who is the amru. Who is the amru? So first possibility was the pashat pshat, that the amru ultimately is two people. And again, we explained that case. We explained, or I should say, that approach yesterday in the beginning of the Gemara. Now the Gemara is positing, based on the Mishnah that the Gemara quoted of Ha'isha Shahalach Baila L'Medina Sayam, that maybe Amru, although it sounds plural, is in fact singular. And in fact, ultimately again refers to an Eid Echad, a singular witness who comes along and tells the individual that you consumed chaylev. To which the Gemara says, okay, V'hu Maika Amar. So what is the individual responding? So now what we're assuming over here, the case is that the individual, an Eid Echad, is coming over, we'll call him Ruvain, saying, Ruvain, you ate chaylev. Okay, what is Ruvain responding? See if you want to say that Reuven is contradicting the testimony of the Eid Echad, and Reuven is saying, no, I didn't eat chaylev, mi maisi. Would Reuven bring a chatas under those circumstances? Look at the middle of the Mishnah. Eid Echad omer achal, v'hu omer lo achalti pater. Remember again, the Mishnah says explicitly that if an Eid Echad says to Reuven, you ate chaylev, and then Reuven says, no, I didn't, right? Reuven contradicts him. That ultimately, again, the Eid Echad doesn't have any more power than the own testimony, self-testimony of the individual. Ella d'shasik. So the Gemara says, rather it must be that Allah Chalamaisa, the case over here is, Eid Echad comes to Reuven, you ate chaylev, Reuven doesn't say a thing. To which and therefore the Mishnah says, if an Eid Echad comes along and tells Reuven, you ate chaylev, and Reuven doesn't disagree, so shtiga kauda, it's as if he's agreeing to the testimony of the Eid Echad and he brings a chatas. To which the Gemara says, so again, remember, I could infer that halacha from the Mishnah itself. Because what does the Mishnah say? That if an Eid Echad comes along and says, Reuven, you ate chaylev, and the Mishnah says, Reuven says, no, I didn't. So Reuven is believed. So again, the Mishnah's case is where Reuven contradicts the Eid Echad. That's why Reuven is believed. You could infer from that if Reuven did not contradict the Eid Echad, Reuven was silent, that the testimony of the Eid Echad would be believed. So why do I need the opening phrase of the Mishnah to make that point as made by a later part of the Mishnah? So in reality, what we're talking about over here is where the Eid Echad confronts Reuven, you ate chaylev, and Reuven does not contradict him. Vachi katani. This is what the Mishnah means to say. Amula achalta chaylev maybe chatos. If an Eid Echad comes along and confronts the individual and tells him you ate chaylev, so Reuven will bring a chatos. When is that true? The shasik. Only when he is quiet. Aval machish le potter. But ultimately, again, if he would contradict the Eid Echad, he would be patur. So therefore, the Mishnah is coming to teach me an incredible halacha, which is that if an Eid Echad shows up and tells Reuven, you ate chaylev, and Reuven does not contradict that Eid Echad, halacha lamaisa, Reuven will be chayiv based on the testimony of that Eid Echad to bring a karban. To which the Gemara says, umidaraisa, minolan delo machish lechayiv. So this is very interesting, I will say, because understand what's happening over here. You'll say to yourself, what's the chiddush over here? Okay, if an Eid Echad comes along and tells you that I ate chaylev, and I say, I don't know, okay, so I'll bring a karban. But say, understand the notion of bringing a karban, right? The notion of bringing a karban is a significant thing. If you're wrong about your karban, right? If you're wrong about your chatas, that's chulin la'azara. You can't just bring a chatas. So the notion over here that if based on the testimony of an Eid Echad, I'm going to bring a chatas, the Gemara wants to know, where do you know that from? Mida Araisa, how do I know that if an Eid Echad comes along and tells me something, and I'm not contradicting the Eid Echad, that we move forward based on the testimony of that singular witness? Tan Rabbanan, oh, hold the elav chataso. So the pasuk says, or his sin becomes known to him. V'lo shiodiu achirim. So we'll say in general, when it comes to carbonic liability is generated through a person's own self-knowledge, right? I am aware that I am liable, and therefore I bring a carbon. But if my liability, or if my knowledge of my liability doesn't come from me, but comes from others, then ultimately, again, I won't be chayiv. Now let's qualify that. Yachol afilu ein machishan. So you might have thought that's true even if, let's say, witnesses come along, well, not only witnesses, but let's say someone comes along and tells me information about myself. For example, you ate chaylev. Said, I didn't know that I ate chaylev. So I might have thought that halacha l'maisa, that can't generate liability either. Talmud lomar, ohol de'elav mikol makom. So everybody say the Gemara understands the phrase of ohol de'elav means, and it becomes known to him from any outside source. So now the pasuk's teaching me that halacha l'maisa, even if the knowledge is not first-hand knowledge, which means first-hand knowledge would mean what? I know I ate chaylev. So, ohod da'elav, the Gemara understands to mean if it becomes known to you. How does it become known to you? Someone else is making it known to you. So, so what are we talking about? Who's making it known to me? Ilima betrain. So if it's two witnesses who come along, so if two witnesses come along and tell me I ate chaylev, and I'm not contradicting them, do I need a pasuk to teach me that generates liability? That's obvious. Top of your days. Elalav bechad. Rather than what's he talking about again, where one witness is coming along and telling me that I ate chaylev. V'katoni ki machishin mehem shmamina. So Rabbi said the Gemara is understanding over here. The pasuk of ohol da'elav is coming dafka to teach you that in a case where an eid echad, a singular witness, comes along and tells me information, in this case, achalta chaylev, and I don't contradict him, what's the halacha? That singular testimony goes ahead and generates liability. That is the chiddush over here. So therefore we have three cases. The case of two witnesses who come along, that's obvious. Now we're going to dispute that case about whether or not what happens if I contradict the two witnesses. We'll get to that. But assuming it's two witnesses who show up and give testimony and I'm not contradicting them, that we all know. If one witness comes along, right, and gives testimony and I contradict the Eid Echad, then what? Then again, it falls off, right? The Eid Echad is no stronger than me. It's no stronger than me. The novelty here, and the novelty of the Gemara is from the opening phrase of the Mishnah, is if an Eid Echad comes along and I don't contradict him, then halacha l'maisa, that Eid Echad could generate biblical liability. And I both say this is how the Rambam paskins. The Rambam in Hilchos Shkagos, Perek Gimel Halacha Beis says as follows: Shasak v'lo hiflig es ha'edim ela afilu amar lo isha achalta chaylev o asisa malacha b'Shabbos v'shasik chayiv lahavichatos. Amar lo eid echad chaylev hu v'shasak. So both I said the Rambam paskins like this: halacha l'maisa, if an eid echad comes along and you don't contradict the eid echad. Now both say, now again, I'm not bolstering the Eid Echad either. The Eid Echad comes along and says, I ate chaylev. Or in the Rambam's case, the Eid Echad comes along and says, you did a malacha on Shabbos. What's my response? In this case, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying, I'm saying the Lashon of the Rambam is, v'hushasak. I don't know. I don't know what I did. So in that case, again, the halacha is that the Eid Echad's testimony has the ability to generate carbonic liability. Say the Echad comes along and says, you ate chaylev. I say, I don't know. You might be right. I don't know enough to contradict you. Halacha l'maisa, I bring echatos based on that testimony. Good. Weiter. Amar Rabbi Meir, Kavachomer. So remember again, the next case in the Mishnah that we dealt with was as follows. This was the case of Shnayim Eidim, right? Two witnesses show up and say that I ate chaylev, and I say, no, I didn't. Rabbi Meir says, I'm chayiv, and Rabbi Meir says, what's the reason for that? If two witnesses can make me liable to a death penalty, right? If two witnesses can make me chayiv for chayiv misa, so then they can make me chayiv for a chatos. The Chachamim disagree, and the Chachamim say what? The Chachamim say, the lashon over here was, Amrulo, ma'im yirtza lomar mezer yisi pater. Chachamim say, 1 second. It's not so clear that the two witnesses should be believed. Why? Because I have a migo, right? What's my migo? I could have said I was mazid, and if I said I was mazid, then mazid frees me from carbonic liability. Since I have a claim that could free me from carbonic liability, I'm also believed to say I never ate the chaylev. So says the Gemara, so this is actually quite amazing. What is the logic of the Rabbanon? Mishum da adam neman al atzmo yoser me'ish, o dilma mishum darminon migo di boy amar mezit hayisi pater ki amar nami lo achalti mehamenu pater. So also is actually quite interesting. The Gemara is trying to drill into the svara of Rabbi Meir. We understand because he explicitly articulates it. Right? Rabbi Meir's svara is if two witnesses can make you chayiv misa, they can certainly make you chayiv to a karban. And we don't really care what you have to say, right? Reuven, we don't care what you have to say. You did it, you didn't, it doesn't make a difference. Two witnesses show up, we believe them. So the shaila now is the Rabbanan who believe Reuven, right? Reuven is the person about whom they are testifying, the defendant, we'll call him. So why do the Rabbanan say we believe Reuven? So there are two possibilities. Either there's a concept of Adam Ne'eman al Atzmo, which is, I am believed regarding matters of myself. So if witnesses come along and say, you ate this, I am believed to say, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Meaning, no one has greater knowledge about my actions than me. Obviously, you're both say, you have to draw the line about this at some point in time, right? Because when two witnesses come along and say, Reuven, you killed Shimon, and Reuven says, no one could tell me about what I do. I know what I do better than anyone else. So obviously, that has a scope, right? That has a framework. But in general, let's call it matters of consumption. I say, you know what? I know that I ate something. It wasn't chaylev, it was shuman, right? Whatever it is. So do we say it's because a person is believed regarding matters of himself, or is it because of the migo? Well, remember again, the concept of migo says what? That I am believed to say X because I could have said Y. So for example, in this case, when two witnesses show up and they say, Reuven, you ate chaylev, and Reuven says, no, I didn't. He is believed. Why? Because he could have said what? He could have said what? I did, and it was intentional. And if I did it and it was intentional, then what's the recourse? Nothing, right? He's potter from carbon. So since he could have said mezid hayisi, he is believed to say I didn't consume it all. So we'll say, so what is the svara of the Rabbanan? Is it Adam ne'eman al atzmo, or is it migo? Umay nafkamina, right? So who cares? So the Gemara says, lemifshat minei letuma. I'll tell you where it does come up, where there's a nafkamina. The nafkamina would be in a case of tuma. Rashi says letuma. It's the last of the wide lines in Rashi. Kegon amrulo nitmesa ubasa umiyad basla mikdash. But we'll say the nafkamina would be a case where an individual became tamei, and immediately after contracting tuma, he went into the Beis HaMikdash, or at least that's what they're claiming. So again, witnesses show up and they say, Reuven, we saw you become tamei and enter into the Beis HaMikdash immediately. So watch this. So I'll say, if you want to say that over here in the case of chaylev, the reason why the Rabbanan believe Reuven over the witnesses is because a person is believed regarding matters of himself more than 100 people. Ultimately, again, in the case of Tumah Rabosai, it doesn't make a difference if we're talking about old Tumah or new Tumah. We'll say, what does this mean? Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Tumah Yishana, it's the same with the last wide lines there. Esmol nitmeis v'hayom nichnasta. So we're going to see an interesting difference in these cases. Whether or not witnesses testify about Tumah Yishana, which means witnesses come along and they say, Reuven, we saw you become Tameh yesterday, and you entered into the Beis HaMikdash today. Or Tumah Chadasha, Rashi says, Leka Migo. So interestingly enough, as we're going to see in the case of Tumah Yishana, old Tumah, if witnesses come along and say, Reuven, we saw you become Tameh yesterday and enter into the Beis HaMikdash today, Reuven could always say what? That's true, and I became tar in the interim. Tumah Chadasha is a bit more complicated. Rashi says Tumah Chadasha, second of the short lines. Leka mishum migo ditavalti leka lemeimar. So we'll say ultimately again he has no migo to say that I went to the mikvah. Why? The ha'amru lo b'shas tumah nichnasta v'inami tavalta lo heriv shimshecha utvul yom ha'nichnas lemikdash b'shogei chayiv chatos. Because we'll say ultimately again in the case of Tumah Chadasha, where there's no migo, right? There's no migo. So you're about to say, if witnesses come along and say, Reuven, we saw you become tamei yesterday and enter into the Beis HaMikdash today, and he says it never became tamei. Even if you want to apply the concept of migo, we would believe him. Why? Because he could say, I did become tamei, but I went to the mikvah. So certainly if he can make that claim, and that's a believable claim, he's believed to say it never became tamei. In a case of Tumah Chadasha, which is where the witnesses are saying, we saw you become tamei today, and enter into the Beis HaMikdash today, there is no migo. There is no migo. But say there is no alternate claim. What is he going to say? I never became tamei. Well, why should he be believed? What's his alternate claim? So we'll say in the case of tuma chadasha, if you say, I'm sorry, let me read this again. So the Gemara says as follows: Di'i amri tamad da'avanim mishum da'adam ne'man al atzmo yoser me'ish. We'll say if you say that the svara of the Rabbanan is that a person is believed regarding matters of their self, then lo shna tuma chadasha v'lo shna tuma yishana. Then I will say, in the case of tuma, whether the witnesses are testifying about old tuma or new tuma doesn't really make a difference. Either way, Ruvain is believed. Why? Because they're both saying, no one knows about me better than me. That's the svara. The amr tanad rabban mishum da amr migo. So ultimately, they're both saying, but if you say that the reason why the Rabbanan in the Mishnah exempt Ruvain in a case where he contradicts two witnesses is because of migo. The migo is because he could have said in the Mishnah what? They're coming along, the witnesses are saying achal techelev, and he's saying I didn't. And why is he believed? Because he could have said what? Mezid ayisi. So the only reason they believe him is in a case of migo. Then the Gemara says, "V'ar amr tamah mishum damina migo patri rabbanim mituma yeshana ava mituma chadasha mechayiv." But I will say ultimately again that in the case of tuma, migo only works in a case of tuma yeshana. It does not work in a case of tuma chadasha. Because in a case of tuma yeshana, where the witnesses said, "We saw you become tameh yesterday," and he says it never became tameh, he'd be believed. Why? Because he has a counterclaim. What's his counterclaim? Yes, I did become tameh, but I went to the mikvah, right? But with tuma chadash, if they claim we saw you become tameh today and go to the mikvah today, the witnesses would be believed because he has no migo. So the Gemara says, "Tuma chadash mechay my taimo tuma yeshana migo di by amar tavalti potter." With tuma yeshana he has a migo. He could have said, "Yes, I became tamei, but I went to the mikvah." Therefore, when he says it never became tamei altogether, he's believed. Ki amar nami lo nitmesi potter di ika lemeimar. Because it will say, therefore, even when he says I never became tamei, it should be believed. Why? Because we can understand what does I never became tamei mean? My lo nitmesi di kamar lo amarati bitumasi. See, it will say even when he says lo nitmesi, I never became tamei, I could interpret that phrase as meaning what? I never became tamei means I never remained in a state of tuma ela tavalti. Aval tuma chadasha. But I will say, if the witnesses are coming along and saying you became tamei today, went to the Beis Hamikdash today, mechayiv, then you should be chayiv. Why? My taima dichi amar nami tavalti mechayiv. Because I will say, even if he says you're right, I became tamei and I went to the mikvah, he's still chayiv. The amru le'edim hashta nitmesa. So Rabbi says, so therefore, this leads us to the fundamental shaila. What is the svara of the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan in the Mishnah who say that even when two witnesses show up and say, achal techelev, and I say, no, I didn't. The Rabbanan say, we believe me over the two witnesses. What's the svara? Is it because of Adam Ne'eman Alatzmo, Yoser Me'ish, I'm believed about matters regarding me, more than 100 people, 100 witnesses, or is it migo? And now we see the nafkamina is where? Specifically in a case of Tuma Chadasha. That'll be the nafkamina case. So my Tashma, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the sponsorship. So to thank Bennett Goldberg for being the Talmud Torah sponsor for the month of Elul, dedicated by Bennett Goldberg in memory of his parents, Avram ben Asher Pinchas, Fegarezel Bas Zelig, and in the hopes that all of the members of the Kehillah have their tefillos answered over the Yamim Noraim. Eshkoyach to Bennett for the sponsorship. Rabbi says, let's go weiter. Says the Gemara, so what is the halacha? Tashma. Amar lo eid echad nitmesa. V'omer lo nitmesi. So Rabbi says, let's go back and talk about a case of Tumah. Right? And eid echad says, you became tamei. And he says, I did not become tamei. What's the halacha pat? And obviously, this case of nitmesa, meaning becoming tamei by itself, is quote unquote meaningless. The testimony is you became tamei and what? And entered into the Beis Hamikdash. So that is nitmesa ubasal mikdash. So what happens? Eid echad comes along and tells me that I became tamei. Vu omer lo nitmesi, and I say no, I never became tamei. What's the halacha? Pater. Ultimately, again, I am pater. I will say again, so that's a clear case. No one's arguing over here. Why? Because there's an Eid Echad who's advancing testimony, and I have the ability to contradict the Eid Echad. Yachal afilu shnayim. What about if two witnesses came along and said, Nit Mesa, Reb Meir Kavachomer? So Meir says, in that case, it's a Kavachomer. Im hevi shnayim lemisa chamura lo yivu carbon akal. So Meir says, of course, two witnesses are believed, even when contradicted by the, what do you call this person? Not the claim. Is he the claimant? The accused. Okay, the accused. We'll use that. Good, thank you. The accused. Right? So Meir says, on a simple level, if two witnesses can make someone chayiv misa, they could, of course, make someone chayiv in this context as well. Chayiv carbon. The chum say, Adam ne'eman al atzmo yoser mimei ish. So we'll say, wow. So here, this price seems to be quite explicit. The chacham say, no, Ruvain's going to be believed. Why? Because a person is believed regarding matters of himself more than 100 witnesses. Shma mina, tamai drabanan mishum da'amri adam ne'eman al atzmo yoser mimei ish. So we'll say, so it seems to be quite explicitly over here that the svar of the chachamim is that a person is believed regarding matters of himself more than 100 people. On Rabbi Yami, not necessarily. Li'olam taima d'Rabbanan mishum d'arminan migo. So Rabbi Yami says no. In fact, the reason. So I just want to point out something very interesting to you over here, which is that if you notice again, we now have seemingly two contradictory sources. You're going to see our Mishnah seems to read pretty clearly that the svara of the Chachamim is migo, right? Because they say ma'im yirtzeh lomer mezir hayisi pater, which sounds like migo. The Bryce over here seems to indicate that the reason of the svara of the Chacham is what? Adam ne'eman alatzmo, because Adam ne'eman alatzmo yosem ish. So Amar Rabbi Ami li'olam tamed rabban mishun armina migo. In reality, the reason, according to the Rabbanon, why Ruvain is believed, even in a case of two witnesses, is why? Because of migo. Mishum darmina migo v'hachi katani mitoch shimratza lo amarati betumasi pater hilchach adam ne'eman alatzmo yoser me'ish. So I will say, in reality, what the Chachamim mean to say is like this. Since when the witnesses come along and say, remember in this case over here, this is a case of nitmesa. Two witnesses are coming along and they're saying that halocha l'maisa Ruvain, you became tummy and went into the Beis Hamikdash and therefore you're chayiv a carbon. Ruvain is saying, I did not. The Chachamim say, Adam ne'eman al atzmo yosir mimea ish. Says Rabbi Ami, the Chachamim don't really mean that that's the svara. What the Chachamim mean is like this. Since Ruvain could have said what? Yes, I did become tamei, but what? I went to the mikvah and became tar. Therefore, Adam ne'eman al atzmo yosir mea ish. So the Chachamim are, it's actually very interesting. The Chachamim are not espousing a svara of Adam ne'eman al atzmo. Their svara is what? Migo. But once you employ the concept of migo, the result of migo is Adam ne'eman al atzmo yosir mimea ish. But really, they're employing the svara of migo. Hilchach Adam ne'eman al atzmo yosir mimea ish. Ihachi hainu chelev. So if that's the case, I don't understand. Why does the Brisa need to bring the same case? In other words, I will say then, ultimately, again, the case of Tumah is the same thing as chelev. In other words, you're repeating the same concept twice. You're just filling in the blank with a different case. So why do you need an additional case of Tumah if you already have the case of Chelev? Ma'odetema. Because what would you have thought? Achalti Chelev kamataretz dibure. Because I will say, ultimately, again, I might have thought like this, that in the case of Chelev, according to the Chachamim, the reason why ultimately, again, he is believed, right? The reason he is believed, according to the Chachamim, is because even if you were to make the claim of Achalti Chelev, Kamataritz Diburi Lo Achalti Shogeg Ela Mezid. See, I will say again, because you could be Mataritz his words to say, I ate Chelev, and ultimately, again, I didn't eat it Shogeg, rather I ate it Mezid. Of course, Mezid would be a claim that would pater him. Aval Nitmes, V'hu Omer Lo Nitmesi. But I both say, if the witnesses show up and they say, you became Tameh, and he does a counterclaim, Reuven does a counterclaim, I did not become Tameh, Ema Lo Kamataritz Dibure. I might have thought Rabbi said that in that case, we do not interpret his words. Kamash Malan, we do. How do we reinterpret his words? Kamash Malan hachinami lo amarati betumasi aval tavalti. So Rabbi say, even in the case of Tumah, for some reason, the Havamina is, we would be metaritz his words in the case of Chile, but we wouldn't be metaritz his words in the case of Tumah. Kamash on that we do. Kamash on that even when witnesses show up and say, Ruvain, you became tamei and entered into the Beis Hamikdash, therefore you chayav a carbon. And Reuven says, lo nitmesi. We interpret lo nitmesi as saying what? Lo amarati bitumasi. It's true, I became tamei, but what? I went to the mikvah, and therefore I'm okay. So tashma. So we'll get to Tumah Chadash in just a moment. So tashma, visvada, mode b'dvarim chayiv, ein mode b'dvarim pater. So we'll say ultimately again the pasuk says he will admit his liability. So what do we learn from there? We'll say this is Rashi points out for his vada. So let's remember again, when it comes to Tumas Mikdash, which means again entering into the state of the Beis Hamikdash, entering into the Beis Hamikdash in a state of ritual impurity, in a state of Tumah. So you're chayiv. When are you chayiv? Mode b'dvarim chayiv, in mode b'dvarim pater. If you admit your liability, you are chayiv. If you don't admit your liability, you are pater. If an Eid Echad comes along and says, Ruvain, you became Tamei, and Ruvain says, I did not become Tamei, so pater. So we'll say again, so that's the case we're on the same page with, right? If I contradict the Eid Echad, I'm pater. Yachal afilu shnayim machishin. What happens, halacha l'maisa, if there are two witnesses who came along and said nitmeisa, and I claim lo nitmeisi, I'm Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says no. Two witnesses is a different ballgame. So again, Rabbi Meir Lishitaso says no. Two witnesses. Whenever you have two witnesses, doesn't make a difference what the accused says. If two witnesses come along and say nitmeisa, what's the halacha? You bring a karban. So it says the Gemara. Rabbi Huda Omer ne'eman adam al atzlu yasir ish. Wow, so now comes along Rabbi Huda, another shita. Rabbi Huda says, no, not true. A person is believed regarding his personal circumstances more than 100 witnesses. So halacha l'maaseh, even if 100 witnesses say, you entered into the Beis Hamikdash in a state of Tumah, halacha l'maaseh, the individual is believed to give testimony regarding his self. And therefore halacha l'maaseh, if he says, I did not become Tamei, we believe him. Umodim chachamim Rabbi Huda. So we'll say, now watch this. So now it appears that we have three shitos here. We have Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir is consistent throughout, right? Rabbi Meir's shita halacha l'maaseh is two witnesses. It doesn't make a difference what the accused says. Two witnesses, their word is golden. Rabbi Yehuda ne'eman adam alatzmo. What's the shita that's a bit unknown to us, or at least appears a bit unknown to us? The chachamim. Because the Chachamim now are shrouded in a bit of ambiguity. We know from the Mishnah that when two witnesses come along and say Achal Techelev, and Reuven says Lo Achal Techelev, that's what according to the Chachamim he's believed, right? Reuven is believed. The shaila is he believed ultimately again because of Migo, or is he believed because of Adam Ne'eman Alatzmo? It appears, based on what we said a few lines ago, that it's because of Migo. Okay, so now let's analyze. Says Chachamim, Umodim B'chan Rabbi Huda B'chalavin Ubebias Mikdash. The Chachamim agree with Rabbi Huda when it comes to a case of Chelev Ubebias Mikdash, right? So again, when a consumption of Chelev and coming into the Beis Hamikdash in a state of ritual impurity, they will agree in that case that Adam Ne'eman Al Atzmo. Aval B'tumah Lo Module. But I will say in the case of Tumah, ultimately again, they will not agree with him. Look at Rashi. Aval B'tumah Gredasa below Bias Mikdash Deleka Karban Lo Modulo. So we'll say, so now this is very interesting. So now the Gemara is suggesting the Chachamim will agree with Rabbi Yehuda in a case of Chelev, i.e., two witnesses say Ruvain Achal Techelev. Ruvain says, no, I didn't. So Chachamim will agree with Rabbi Yehuda that he's not chayiv. Similarly, witnesses say, you became Tamei and entered into the Beis Hamikdash, and Ruvain says, no, I didn't. Chachamim will agree with Rabbi Yehuda, not chayiv. Where do the Chachamim break ranks with Rabbi Yehuda? In the case of Tumah. Now, I will say the case of Tumah over here is where a person became Tamei and touched Taras. He touched ritually pure items, thereby technically rendering them unfit. So what I'll say, so the case over here will be witnesses come along and say, Ruvain, you became Tamei, touched Taras, and Ruvain says, no, I didn't. Now watch this. But my asking, what's the case? Ilema Amad Beis. Ilema Betuma Yishana. So I'll say, if you want to say it's a case of Tuma Yishana, right? If it's a case where ultimately, again, the situation over here is where the witnesses are claiming that he became Tamei yesterday, touched the Taras today, I don't understand why wouldn't the Chacham agree with Rabbi Yehuda in that case? Because after all, both said this is a beautiful case. Dimratza yomar meizit hayisi tuma yishana nami metaris tibure. Dimratza yomar lo amarati betumasi ela tavalti. Both say if it's a tuma yishana case is easy because Rabbi say there you don't even have to rely on adam naman alatzmo. There's even a great migo. What's the great migo? The great migo is you could have said yes, I became tamei. I was tamei and what became tamei. Went to the mikvah. So I'm Ravina the Olam Tuma Yishana. What's the case? It's Tuma Yishana. Ukigon the Amrile Edim Achalta Kadshim Betuma Saguf. So the case over here is witnesses say you consumed sacrificial items in a state of ritual impurity. V'hu Amar Lahon Lo Nitmesi. He counterclaims, right? I was never tamei. The Hacha Lo Metaritz Dibure. Because Rabbi say here it's difficult to reinterpret his words. Why? Because Rabbi say on one hand you can't interpret his words to mean I did not sustain my I did not remain in a state of tumah. Rather I went to the mikvah because my amar lahon tavalti va'achalti. Because what did he say? If he said I went to the mikvah and I consumed the items, ki amar lahon hachi is hachi shlei dibura kama. Kama miha betuma mago. So I'll say ultimately again, because the problem over here is that we have no way to properly interpret his words. Because if he said tavalti va'achalti, then kamar lahon, because when he says this, is chachish le dibura kama, he contradicts his original assertion that ultimately again he was potentially metame the ritually pure items with his maga. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi says as follows: Amar Ravina the Olam, Taim Mishum Migo bechalav v'abias mikdash ika migo, do nechnasti shogeg elamezid v'gamei tuba do lo modgulei mishum deleka migo v'afa gav d'shayich bekarban v'ika tuma yishana deles be migo. So we'll say, okay, so we'll just say it's outside. So the problem over here, ultimately in this situation, is that halacha lemaisa there is no way to be metaret his words. Because there's no way to properly be metaret his words, his statement ultimately leads itself in an inherent contradiction. Amr Rav Nachman, halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So Rav Nachman says, halacha Rabbi Yehuda, Amr Rav Yosef, lo shanu elas Rabosei. So now, stop over just a moment. So Rav Nachman says, halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Rabosei, what does Rabbi Yehuda hold? Rabbi Yehuda holds that Adam ne'eman al atzmo. So Rabosei, so it appears now that we have three shitos. Shita number one is Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is the easiest one to understand. Well, not easiest. Rabbi Meir is consistent, which is two witnesses can contradict two witnesses. Once you have two witnesses, that's it. We have Rabbi Yehuda, Adam ne'eman al atzmo. A person is always believed regarding matters of himself. The Rabbanon, the Chachamim, it appears to both at this point in time we've interpreted their phrase to mean what? Migo. We believe the individual when you have a migo, which is not unique to any of these cases. That's a general concept in halacha, that if you make a claim and you could have actually made a stronger claim, right, which would have led to a desired result, we believe you with a weaker claim. So fine. So therefore, again, whether Abba say it's in a case of tumah, I was tameh, I went to the mikvah, it's a case of chelev, mezid hayisi, if you could have made a, right, so again, so a simple case, two witnesses show up, you ate chelev if you're chayiv a karban. I say I never ate chelev, I'm believed. Why? Because I could have said what? Mezid hayisi. I could have said mezid, I would be cut from carbon either. So three different shitos. Comes along the Gemara and says, Amr Rav Nachman halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Nachman says the halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda. Adam ne'eman al atzmo yoser mimea ish. Right? When it comes to matters of yourself, right? Personal liability. Personal. I'll say now again. I want to point out something very important. Adam ne'eman al atzmo means you are believed regarding matters of yourself, which means matters that only relate to you, that do not impact other people. That's what I both say. Remember again, once you start touching things that are not your own, right? Like kachim, that's a separate halacha. But in general, like for example, a karban regarding chelev, that's something that just impacts me. Adam na'eman al atzmo yoser meish. That's Rabbi Yehuda Shita. I'm Rav Yosef. A very interesting qualification. Lo amra ella beino la bein atzmo uli atzmo. So we'll say this is actually very interesting. So if you look at Rashi says Amr Rabbi Yehuda shu na'eman v'tar el lechol taros beino bein atzmo. Aval lifnei achirim lo yochal dilma asi lizalzule betaras. liatzmo ne'eman lechol taras shu noged adam ne'eman al atzmo v'al achirim lo yachilein. Shabbos say this is incredible. So you have Rav Nachman saying like this: the halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda, but when does it follow Rabbi Yehuda? Only for yourself, by yourself. What are we concerned about? What's the situation over here? There are two witnesses who come along and say what? Let's take the most extreme case. I touched Taras in a state of Tumah. I touched Taras in a state of Tumah. Which Shabbos says, so what's the impact of that? What's the impact? The whole thing's Tameh. Right? Which again, depending on what exactly I touched, could have different ramifications for the item and for the people who potentially would consume it as well. So Rav Nachman on one hand says, listen, no one could come along and tell me about me. When it comes to me, I am in charge of me, which I will say. You understand the profundity of that statement? It's Chodesh Elul. It's Chodesh Elul, I will say. No one is ne'eman on you like you, which means, I will say, if you think that on Rosh Hashanah you're going to come before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, I got it all figured out. It's my mother's fault. She didn't love me enough. My father never played baseball with me in the backyard. My second grade teacher wasn't nice to me. My friends don't take care of me. My wife is not supportive of me. My kids don't pay attention to me. My boss is too hard on me. That's why I don't accomplish. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, by the way, pass like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Adam ne'eman al atzmo yosim me'aish. But at the end of the day, when it comes to matters of you are responsible. You know you best. You know you best. It's not just a din in chelev, right? It's not just a din in taras. It's a din. It's a din in personal responsibility. So we'll say this is actually very interesting. So Nachman says the halacha is Rabbi Yehuda. But what are we concerned about over here? You see, when two witnesses come up, so we remember this from our Makkos days. Two witnesses create what? Create a kol. There's a problem. If you now have two witnesses who are going ahead and testifying that Ruvain was metame taras, so here's the problem. If you start eating those things publicly, then what happens? That represents almost like, it looks like a blatant disregard, ultimately, again, of the testimony of two witnesses. The problem with that is that people are going to be mezalzel. You could experience a fundamental breakdown of testimonial integrity and just general halachas. So Rav Nachman says, halacha was Rabbi Yehuda, but what? You could essentially only observe this halacha in private. In other words, so if you're the individual, right? So I'm Ruvain, I'm believed because I'm believed regarding myself. Eat the taras in private, right? And don't feed it to others. Don't feed it to others. You are believed legabe matters of you, but we keep this quiet. We keep this private because we don't want a general breakdown of halacha. Incredible idea. Amrei Shlakish. Mod Rameir Lecham. Rameir agrees with the Chachamim. Shim Amr Lo Shnayim Ba'al. So now we're going to go through a couple of other cases. So Rabbi Meir, who in general holds that nothing could defy the testimony of two witnesses. Whenever you have two witnesses, their word is golden. Even Rabbi Meir will agree to come in the following case. Shim Amru Lo Shnayim Ba'alta Shifcha Charufa. Bless you. We'll say if two witnesses show up and they say, Ruvain, you engaged in relations with the Shifcha Charufa. Remember again, definition Shifcha Charufa. Definition. How do we pass in the Rambam? We saw this yesterday. How do we pass in? Ma'am, she was yesterday. Good. Chatzi shifra, chatzi baschor. That's how the Rambam paskins. Chatzi shifra, chatzi baschor. So a man has relations with the shifra charufa. So I have a theory. My theory is that when there's mazonos, people are less focused on the Gemara. So understand that for what that means. If you don't get it together, no more treats, right? Okay? So I'll say, come on. So it says the Gemara, Amru lo, shnayim ba'al. So listen to this. Two individual comes along and say, you had a relation with the Shifcha Charufa, vu omer lo ba'alti. And he says, I never, lo ha'idram, never happened, mehemen. So we'll see, even Rabbi Meir agrees in this case that what? That halacha l'maisa, Ruvain is believed. Why? Di bay amr lahon lo gamarti bi'asi. But remember again, one of the other interesting distinctions of Shifcha Charufa other than other arayos is that what? Other arayos you are chayiv when? When tchilas bia. Right? For Shifcha Charufa you're only chayiv when? Gimar bia. So I will say, even interestingly enough, in a case where two witnesses come along and they say to Ruvain, you had beer with a Shifcha Charufa, and Ruvain says, no, I didn't. Even Rabbi Meir will agree that this case has a really good migo. The really good migo Rabbi is what? I did have bia, but what? never finished, right? It was only Tchilas Bia, it wasn't Gimar Bia. And I will say that the witnesses, that Rashi points out over here, the witnesses have absolutely, meaning there's no, what's the word? Evidence, right? There's no evidence, meaning there's no follow-up on that, right? The only thing, the most that the Eidim could testify about is that they saw them engaging in a Ma'aseh Bia. They have no way of testifying ultimately again Tchilas Bia, Gimar Bia. So therefore, even Rabbi Meir would agree that in that case, that migo works. Another case, Rabbi Meir would agree with Chacham. Benazir Tamei Sha'amru Lo Shnayim. Listen to this. Benazir Tamei Sha'amru Lo Shnayim Nitmeisa. Another case, Rabbi Meir agrees with the Chachamim. You have a Nazir, listen to this, a Nazir who becomes Tamei. Two witnesses show up and they say, Nazir, you became Tamei, and therefore you're Chayiv. And the Nazir says, nope. So Pater, even Rabbi Meir will agree with Pater. Why? Di'i by Amar Nishalti al Nizirai. Because it will say he has a good migo. What's his migo? Ultimately, again, I went ahead and had my Nazirus annulled. I had it annulled. I went to Chacham, had it annulled. So we'll say, so again, what do you see over here? Even Rabbi Meir, who holds in cases ultimately again of two witnesses, their testimony is solid, will agree like in cases of super migo, right? Where there's super migo, right? Ironclad migo, irrefutable migo. Even Rabbi Meir will agree in those cases. Amar Abaye, Mod Rabbi Meir, Chamshim Amru Lo Shnayim, Yodea Ata Be'edus Ploni. Another case, so Rabbi Meir will agree. Two witnesses come along and say, they come to Ruvain, you know testimony for Shimon. Vu Omer Lo Yadati. And he says, I don't know any testimony. And it turns out that's what? Right, Pater. Ultimately, again, even Rabbi Meir will agree that he's Pater. Why? The Bay Amar Lo Niskavanti La'edus. Because Rabbi say, even if it turns out that, let's say, Ruvain was at the scene where the event for Shimon occurred, so let's say he did see the event, he has a good migo. What's his migo? It's true I was there, but I didn't have in mind to be an aid. See, Rabbi is saying, there's a difference. We know this is a difference when you see an event with an intention to recall the details versus ultimately, again, when you're just a passerby, right? You're just a passerby, you don't pay attention to detail. So Reuven can say, I was there, but I never had in mind to commit the events to memory. So therefore, Rabbi say, you begin to see that in cases of strong migo, even Rabbi Meir agrees with the Chum. So we'll say, but for our purposes, in this case in the Mishnah, right? In the situation of the Mishnah, so ultimately, again, how do we pass? And so I'll say, remember again, there's a question over here. Two witnesses show up and they say, Reuven, you ate chaylev. So if Reuven says nothing, then what? Then of course he's chayiv. What happens if Reuven says, I never ate it? So machlokes in the Mishnah, Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. Rabbi Meir says he's chayiv. Chachamim say he's pater. So Rabbi say, Chacham say he's pater. Why do Chachamim say he's pater? Where there was a machlokes in the Gemara, it's what the start of the Chachamim is. Is it because of migo? What's the migo? I was mazid. Or what? Second possibility? Adam ne'eman alatz mo yosem me'edim. So Rabbi says, so how do we paskin? So listen to this. So the Rambam paskin is as follows. The Rambam says, one second, I'm sorry. Of Halacha Aleph. No, I'm sorry, I printed the wrong Rambam here. Okay, I'll have to tell you this outside. So the Rambam paskins halacha l'maisa, like the Chachamim, namely that if two witnesses go ahead and show up and say that you ate chaylev, and he claims that he did not, so ultimately, again, the individual Reuven is believed. And the Rambam understands that the shita of the Chachamim is migo. It is not Adam ne'eman al atzmo yoser me'ish, but rather it's the concept of migo. And therefore the Rambam says that any time halacha l'maisa, where you have a migo, you can even be believed in the presence of two witnesses. I'm sorry, I'll give you that halacha. I'll read you the lashon of the Rambam Mir Hashem tomorrow. Good, let's go weiter. So achol chaylev v'chaylev behelamecha. So we'll see, remember again, the last part of the Mishnah was, if a person goes ahead and eats two kizesim of chaylev in one ha'elam, one lapse of awareness, you're only chayiv once. But if you ate chaylev, dam, pigul, nosar, you're chayiv for each and every one of those isurim. So says the Gemara, Maskef Rabbi Zera, Amai eno chayiv elachatas achos, v'ha beizesi chaylev achol. I don't understand. If I eat 2 kezesim of chaylev in one ha'elam, why am I only chayiv once? At the end of the day, I ate 2 kezesim of chaylev. Amar li Abaye ha'alamos mechulakos, v'hacha ha'elam echatu, di'ika. So ultimately, again, I will say, because Abaye says very simply, because what's that? I'm sorry. Abaye says very simply that I will say what creates liability are independent ha'elamos. In other words, I will say the way that halacha works is anything that happens in one ha'elam ultimately is reckoned as one act. Even though, again, when looking at the actions individually, they look like individual acts, though ha'elam ultimately combines them into one. Ike de makshila hachi, taima de helam achasu, b'shtei ha'alamos chayiv shtayim, amai, shem chaylev echatu. So I'll say, so others have an alternate version. In this alternate version, the Gemara has, first wide line, a different question. So you can infer the reason you only chayiv once is because everything happened in one lapse of awareness. But I don't understand. If it happened in 2 lapses, you would be chayiv twice. But why is that? It's the same shem chaylev. So we'll say, so bottom line, again, halacha l'maisa, we've seen this before many times, that it is the ha'elamos, right? It is the individual lapses that ultimately, again, create a distinction between the actions. So again, therefore, halacha l'maisa, repeated violation of the same isser in the same lapse does not generate multiple liabilities. Fine. Next, aval chaylev dam and pigol v'noser chayiv. But I will say, if halacha l'maisa, you ate chaylev dam and pigol. If you violated multiple prohibitions in the same lapse, you're chayiv for each and every one. Mimin echad chayiv. So we'll say, ultimately again, says the Gemara. So mimin echad chayiv. To which the Gemara says, I will say, so if you look at Rashi over here, so I'm sorry, before we get to Rashi, so the Gemara says, Mimin echad chayiv, right. Right. Those are regular chayiv kol achas Mimin echad chayiv. So says the Gemara, I'm sorry. Mimin echad chayiv. So we'll say, so the case over here is that if you have multiple, this was the last part of the Mishnah, that the chumrah that min echad has over multiple minim was what? That if you eat a half a kizayis of chaylev, in the same ha'elam, it's mitztarif, right? It comes together. The ha'elam is mitztarif. Masha'enkein, if you eat a half a kizayis of dam, a half a kizayis of chaylev, a half a kizayis of nosar, a half a kizayis of pigul, what are you chayiv for? Nothing, right? Half a kizayis, half. Right? So says the Gemara, Mimin echad chayiv. So again, remember, if it's all right, it was a 50-50, right? So says the Gemara, say if you eat a half a kizayis of each of these isurim, right? If you eat a half a kizayis of chaylev, the ha'elam is mitztarif them. Says the Gemara, pshita. Amrei Shlakish. So what's the chiddush of here? Say Amrei Shlakish mishum bar totini kigon she'achlu mishnei tamchuyin va'alib Rabbi Yeshua d'amar tamchuyin mechulakin. Rabbi say, watch this. What's the chiddush over here? The chiddush over here is in the following case. What happens if you eat half kizayis of chaylev and each half kizayis is prepared in a different way? So you have a half a kizayis of boiled chaylev, half a kizayis of fried chaylev. Right, all you need is 2 halves. So I will say, so Bar Tutini, remember we saw this actually before, says that what? When you prepare foods in different ways, right, ultimately again, they are looked at separately. So Ma'u Detema, Kim Rabbi Yeshua, Loshna the Kulav, Loshna the Chumra. I might have thought that ultimately again, Rabbi Yeshua says that Tanchuyin Mechulakin, food prepared in different ways has different identities. I would have said this is true bein l'kula bein l'chumra, that ultimately again whether the result is a chumra or the kula. So for example, I would have said in this case over here, therefore half a kizayis of fried chaylev and half a kizayis of baked chaylev are what? 2 independent entities, and therefore they're not mitztarif kamash walan dechayiv amar l'chumra amar l'kula amar. Therefore, both again we see over here that the concept of tamchuyin mechulakin, that cooked items have different identities, or I should say items cooked in different ways have different identities, is a din l'chumra, not a din l'kula. So therefore, in this case over here, even though the 2 half kizayim of chaylev are prepared using 2 different culinary techniques, Halacha l'maisa, they are still mitzdarif. Ike da amri al seifa. Others explain this regarding the seifa. Mishnei minin pater. Ultimately, going to say, remember again, if you ate a half a kizayis of two different isurin, ultimately again you will be pater, even if it's in one halam. Pshita. What's the case? You prepared them two different ways. According to Rabbi Yeshua, says that food prepared in two different ways have two different identities. Given Rabbi Yeshua only says that l'chumra but not l'kula. Kamash malan mi beis minin pater, my mi beis minin. Mimin echad. What's the case? It's really again one min echad. Va'amai karlu beis minin mishum da'achlu bebeis tamchuyin. Ultimately, again, because you're preparing it two different ways. V'katani pater, and yet we see that it's pater. Amal lo shna l'kula v'lo shna l'chumra ka'amar Rabbi Yeshua. So mid the seifa min echad u'shnei tamchuyin. So we'll say from the fact that the end of the Mishnah is talking about a case of one echad, min echad, one type of isser prepared two different ways. Reisha min echad v'tamchuy echad. The Reish must be talking about a case of one Isser and one form of preparation. Well, we'll say, so let's analyze that. If it's one Isser, so it's Chelev, and both half Kizesim of Chelev are prepared in the same way, so does the Mishnah need to teach you that they're mitzdarif? Pshita, Ravina, Kegon Shahaise Yedia Ben Sayim. Wow. So Rabbi say, what's the novelty over here? You have two half Kizesim of Chelev, both prepared the same way. But what happened, Rabbi say? I eat the first chatzi zayis, and what? I realize what I did. And then I forget about the Yisra of Chelev, or I forget that the item is Chelev, whatever it is, and I eat the second half of kizayis. V'aliba d'Rabbi Gamliel d'Amar en yedil chatzi shabos. And now watch this. This is actually a fascinating case. I eat a half a kizayis of Chelev, right? So now, now when I ate it, what happened? I had a halam. There was a lapse of awareness. Whether that awareness is, I didn't know that chelev is asar, I didn't know that this was chelev, whatever it is, I didn't know that I was doing something wrong. Then what happens? I realized that I ate a half a kizayis of chelev. Then what happens, Rabbi saying? I have another lapse of awareness and I eat a second half of kizayis of chelev. So what's the shaila? What is the shaila? So I'll say, what's the shaila? The shaila becomes, do these two half kizesim combine or not? That's the fundamental shaila. So says the Gemara, Amar ein yedil lechatzi shir. I will say this is incredible. Rabbi Gamliel is of the opinion that there is no yediyah, in other words, that there is no awareness for chatzi shir. Now what does it mean? Look at Rashi. Ein yedil lechatzi shir. Achol chatzi shir v'noda lo havya yedia lechalik. Dem chazer v'achol chatzi shir mitzdarfin. Both say this is an incredible shita. So Rabbi Gamliel holds that halacha l'maisa, awareness for chatzi shir, in other words, awareness that I consumed a half a kizayis, half of a forbidden amount, is halachically not an awareness. And Rabbi Gamliel's model, awareness is only when you realize you did something halachically significant. But if what you did by itself was halachically insignificant, that yediyah is not a yediyah. Therefore, Abba say, watch this. This is incredible. According to Rabbi Gamliel, if you eat a half a kizayis of chelev, realize what you did, have another lapse of awareness, and eat another half a kizayis of chelev, according to Rabbi Gamliel, what just happened? What just happened? You just ate a kizayis of chelev. In other words, those two acts ultimately again are mitzdarif. An incredible halacha. But listen to this. This is even more incredible. Hakosef shtei osios b'shtei ha'alamos achas shachris v'achas arvis. Both say if a person writes two letters. Remember again, the shir for ksiva for kosef is writing two letters, right? A person wrote one letter in the morning, right? Shtei ha'alamos, two different lapses of awareness. One in the morning, one in the evening. Rabbi Gamliel mechai v'cham pochrim. Rabbi Gamliel says, "You're chai v'cham, say you're pater." Right? Rabbi Gamliel savar ein yedil lechatzi shir, v'Rabbanan savar yesh yedil lechatzi shir. Both say, watch this. Rabbi Gamliel holds your awareness in between halachically irrelevant acts ultimately is not an awareness, and therefore again it's considered to be one long lapse. And therefore again, it's supposed to say, I wrote a letter. I realized, oh my gosh, I just wrote a letter. What's the ramifications of writing one letter on Shabbos? Again, it's Asr Midrabanan, but it's not an Isser D'Oraisa. Right? It's not an Isser D'Oraisa. Sefer Rabbi Gamliel says, my awareness after a halachically irrelevant act is not awareness. Therefore, again, I'm still considered to be in that same lapse. When I write the second letter combines for the first to create biblical liability. The Rabbanan, on the other hand, hold halacha l'maisa that is not the case, that there is yediyah l'chatzi shir. That halacha l'maisa, again, halacha l'maisa, when I have yediyah that I did something, even though it's not, really what it's saying over here is it's a machlokes with the fundamental definition of yediyah. The Rabbanan will say, what's the fundamental definition of a yediyah? That I did something. Whether or not that act is halachically meaningful on its own is irrelevant. Yediyah is a state of cognition. I realize I did something. So I ate the half a kizayis of chaylev. I realize I did something. That brings that act to a close, and the next act of the consumption of the next half a kizayis is its own independent act. I realize I wrote a letter. Okay, that act is over. The next letter is its own act. Rabbi Gamliel says no. The concept of yediyah is not simple cognition. It's cognition of a halachic reality. And therefore, if what I did does not generate a brand new halachic reality, then my yediyah is not the yediyah. And therefore, it's one long lapse that ultimately goes in and combines both events. So fundamental machlokes, Rabbi Gamliel and the Chacham both say, how do we paskin? So here the Rambam says as follows. I hope I printed out this right one. Yes, good. So here the Rambam says as follows. Achal kizatzi chas. This is a very dramatic case. Achal kichatzi zayis v'nodalo v'chazra v'shachach v'achal kichatzi zayis v'achar behelam sheni. So we'll say, so this is our case, right? The person ate a half a kizayis, ultimately again forgot, right? Or I should say, he ate a half a kizayis because he forgot about the halachas, and then ultimately again he remembered what he did. Then he forgot again and ate another half a kizayis. So we'll say, what's the halacha? Pater shahari nodalo bein sayim v'yesh yediyah lechatzi shir. So we'll say, so halacha l'maisa again, halacha l'maisa, the Rambam paskins ultimately again that there is yediyah for chatzi shir, not like the Chachamim, ultimately against Rabbanan. All right, we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up with the Mishnah tomorrow.